You are now listening to Out of the Blank.
Welcome to another episode of Out of the Blank podcast. I'm here with Robert Solomon. Is that's correct pronunciation?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. That's correct. You're good.
So tell me a little bit about yourself, Robert. Where are you from?
Well, I'm from Akron, Ohio, and I am the podcast owner, host, all of that of This Uncanny Earth.
What's This Uncanny Earth?
Oh, I'm glad you asked. It is a weekly podcast into the supernatural, the paranormal, all the forays of the unknown, cryptids, the Mothman.
Oh, Jesus, I know all about this stuff. They're not conspiracies. Bigfoot is real. Let me tell you something. I have gone through the mountains. I have seen the rain, and Bigfoot is there, dulling all the pain.
All of it.
Now, that's obviously a fun thing to do, podcasting and all this. But what do you do professionally?
This is exactly what I do professionally.
You make money off this. This is your day job.
Well, what I did was I worked some retail for a couple of years and put back a little bit of money, not a whole lot, but a little bit, and decided to start the podcast. And I'm doing pretty decent. We got some merch out there floating around, so folks can go ahead and cop that merch. And then I got some other things in the wings too. So what I did was, man, sometimes you just got to be kind of smarter with your money. And so that's what I did. I was a little bit smarter with my money in that regard. And then I know this is going to pay off for me. So that's why I just went full in it, So
what made you decide to even dive into the world of podcasting, especially relying on it for money a little bit too? Like, I mean, I wish one day I'd be able to do this just to be able to survive. I don't really want to profit off of it, but I see it in the whole aspect of like, I have a job, but that's not me. This is me, more like it. I've tried to find my own outlet in just hearing people's stories because, I mean, we all share this earth together, but nobody actually takes 2 seconds to really talk to one another anymore.
And before we keep going, I just want to thank you for having me on, man. I appreciate it. And I really like the idea of your podcast, just kind of like grabbing folks from all walks of life, saying, hey, you want to talk? But what got me into podcasting was basically, well, my love for the paranormal and supernatural and things like that. I've always been a big fan of all those things ever since I was a kid, like 5 or 6. And I just wanted to do that. And for years and years, I was like, man, how can I do this? Because back then when I was growing up, I'm almost 40. So back when I was growing up, you had to have some money. You had to have a camera and radio station. And if you did ham radio, you had to have an operator's license. And it was just like a whole lot of red tape. So when I got, it must have been probably like 3 or 4 years ago when YouTube started like blowing up, maybe a little bit longer than that. I was like, I can do this one day. I can put it on YouTube and do that. But, school, and I was in school at the time and working and college, I might add. And I was working and I'm just like, man, I don't got time for this. I don't have time. Then one day I just thought, I'm going to do it. You only go around once, man, and I'm going to do it. So here we are.
Did you find that a lot of it kind of stemmed from you as a child, kind of picking up a little bit, like just wanting to talk to people? Because, I mean, I was always a talkative child, but once I hit high school, I guess I just kind of fell into the little path, like how we all just get comfortable, become a little bit introvert, and next thing you know, you haven't talked to people in years. I mean, a lot of people doubt the social skill. They don't see it as a skill. But have you ever played the game Sims?
Yeah, sure have.
There's a social meter there that needs to be fulfilled. You have to talk to someone. You have to do something. You can do it maybe a couple of years, not just talking to no one, just isolating yourself. But you find that when someone does talk to you or someone does give you the time of day, it's like someone just gave you a hug. And
right.
You don't really realize you need it. Like, you're like, oh, I just hate people. I don't want to talk to them anymore. I'm like, yes, because your meter's filled up, but it's filled with, I guess, what you would call dog shit. It's filled up with literally nothing, because everybody is just so upset with either where they're in their own standing, or they just are constantly judging others.
Now, the one thing I never had a problem with was my words, my mouthpiece. I was always good on talking, even when I got into high school. But when I got into high school, as we all do, it's like um, and I use this term kind of loosely, but it's like a kill or be killed situation. Like there's predators and there's prey, and you either fall into basically one or the other, or you just kind of be that outlier that kind of just, sits back and watches. And for a couple years, I was the prey, and then I just one day woke up and had to use my hands and put hands on somebody, and it changed the course of my life, so to speak, as a man. You know what I mean? But what I did was I was always talkative. I always talked to people, even if I didn't like people at school, I knew other people at other schools, so I would talk to them. And because the high school I went to at the time, man, it was just like it was real cliquey, and it was real like kind of backwoods. And that's nothing against the people that went there now. Like I'm a grown man. I don't have animosity for those people. Like we're kids, we grow up, so there's really no animosity towards them. I want to make sure that's clear.
Yeah, I'm hoping you're not holding on hatred. Like, oh, that son of a bitch from the sixth grade ate my fucking Uncrustable.
Nah. Once I got out of high school, and because I worked for probably like 3 or 4 years before I went to college, because I didn't like high school, and I'm like, why do I want to go to another school for more of this? At the time, that's how I thought. Then when I went to college, I was like, man, this is awesome, because while there's cliques, you don't see those people. Like they're not so close to one another where they have to interact in certain manners and fashions. Those folks click with those folks. These folks click with these folks. Me, I just studied. I worked hard. I played a lot of video games in college, man. A lot of awesome video games. Hung out with a lot of gamer type folks, and just kind of did my own thing, man. Went from class to class with my headphones on, and then went to the library, study, read, take a nap, go to class. And I was taking I think 18 credit hours towards the end of my towards right before I graduated. I was taking 18 credit hours for a couple semesters.
So if you're going to college, were you just doing it as just kind of like a safeguard? Like, so people ask you what you're doing, you're like, oh, I'm in college. And then it was kind of like your little answer for everything. Or did you have an intended goal on what you wanted to do career wise?
Well, at first I wanted to get into the medical field. I found it to be fascinating. I found a virology. Virology was what I wanted to go into, and I wanted to work for the CDC. But then I got into it, and I realized that the passion wasn't there. It was fun for the first couple classes, which were basic biology classes. Then I hit a point to where I was like, I don't really want to do this. I can't.
Did you just think as in your mind, I don't mean to cut you off, but did you think as in your mind, you didn't have the right determination? I would say, I'm not saying that you're lazy. I'm saying that you felt like, yes, you wanted to do the medical thing because you saw kind of it was interesting to learn all the stuff about it, but you were more I feel like the drive is somewhere else. The drive is somewhere different.
And that's a good point. And it was kind of like that. But at the same time, after researching it and researching what I would be doing, I just felt like it would be the same thing day after day, day after day. And to me, as a person who's worked many different jobs, just sitting all day, you know what I mean, and not exercising, because I like to go to the gym and work out. And if I had a full-time job like that, I'd be tired. I'd come home,
You're talking to a fellow gym rat, by the way.
Right. Nice. Gotta get them gains. But what I like to do, man, and especially with podcasting, I can go to the gym. I can work out. I can lift. I can do all that. But like I said, man, I want to make this podcasting thing my livelihood, and the thing is, I've given myself so much time, you know what I mean? It has to happen by this time, you know what I mean? I'm going to push myself as hard as I can.
Have you felt like you kept kind of pushing the date back a little bit because it seemed like your goals weren't achieving as fast as you wanted them to be?
No, because actually my goals have actually ran pretty concurrent with the timeline that I've put myself on. And that's just because of straight nonstop going after it, because I'm a firm believer, man. If you want something, it's going to happen no matter what. If your drive and determination is there, it's going to happen. Now, it does help that I have a good family. I have a great wife, So, she's been real supportive through this whole thing, and that's been fantastic. And I'm doing this for my child, my son. That's a big inspiration, because I look at it like I want to do something that becomes so big that he has a legacy. Like, if he wants to do this, if he doesn't, that's cool. Not everything's for everybody, but if he wants to do this with his life, hey, I've set you up. Run with the ball. Take the ball and run with it, man. That's my belief.
Do you understand that from coming from a person who's not a podcaster, in their perspective, you not getting a sustainable job or some type of career that's seen as, like, let's say a police officer or something, that you're not doing the world a service, even though you're doing an incredible service by just being able to get information and get your voice out there that someone can listen to and maybe use it when they're falling down on times. And you're basically creating a type of therapy when you do a podcast. You're creating an escape, just like a video game does, from reality, and bringing a sense of whatever you wish to display your podcast in, especially if you're talking about Bigfoot, aliens, UFOs, which I know we're going to dive into, because let me tell you, I got some ramblings on that one for sure. But do you find that it's your podcast, you can relate it to it being an escape?
No, actually, my podcast is more of, so the way I look at it, a lot of people might say that, like, oh, you don't have this, you don't have a career. And to me, this is my career. This is something, I've been studying this stuff for decades. So going into it, man, I never had any kind of negativity to it. Like I said, I have a real supportive family, wife, friends. Everybody was like, dude, you should have been doing that. You got the mouthpiece for it. You got the drive. You got the ambition.
Well, I don't mean an escape for you. I meant an escape for someone listening. Because you have to admit, how many times have you been doing something and your life's been going shit, and you're like, I just want to listen to something good, be able to blast the music all the way up, pull the windows down, and just be able to drive and just enjoy life. And sometimes you need a voice like yours to get out there. And hell, dude, if I'm driving down the road and I'm listening to somebody who ran off about Bigfoot and all this shit, I'm going to be having a pretty good day.
Yeah. To me, man, as long as somebody's listening to it, and if it's an escape, if it's just like they want to learn something new, or they want to build upon what they already know, as long as I reach people and they feel like they've learned something, or they like you said, maybe they had a bad day, if I can reach those people, and I know I have, man, I've gotten all kinds of compliments on it, and that's not to blow my own ego up here in this, because I just, to me, man, I provide something that I love to do. So if other people love it, that's a bonus to me. Like, especially when I get the compliments of, man, the show was great last night. The show was dope. I loved it. It was cool hearing you guys talk about demons and this and that and the third. And it really makes me want to keep pushing and pushing and pushing. And yeah, we're going to have bad days, man. I've had a couple bad days. I've had bad days with this podcast that I'm doing. There's days when the audio does not want to work in my favor, and it's crazy. Those days, man, are the days you really have to just kind of hold yourself up and keep it cracking, keep it moving. Because if you don't, and you let your dream die, bro, like, honestly,
you got to remember what you're doing it for in the first place.
Yeah, every day. Because if you let your dream die, man, a part of you dies. And then you just go back into that social structure. And that's not a knock to folks who have a 9-to-5, like, who have a career and that's what they want to do the rest of their life. God bless them. Those folks, we need those folks. Everybody has a path that they have to walk. You know what I mean? And as long as you're working hard, man, like, if you're one of these slouchy type persons that just like live in your parents' basement and you don't contribute and you don't help and you don't like do anything, like, you just stay in the basement and you're playing whatever computer game, whatever console game, anything. If you're just sitting in the basement and you're not out living life and you're not just contributing as a good person, then you're really doing society a disservice. Because let's face it, like, we're all lucky to be alive in this day and age. I mean, it's, take it for what you will, but I love being alive today, for sure. 100% facts.
Do you think that, so we're going to dive in a little bit onto your podcast here.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the Uncanny Earth, you talk about paranormal, supernatural, cryptids, all these types of sorts. How did you decide to narrow your podcast down to that?
I mean, I grew up watching what's known as In Search Of. It's a show that Leonard Nimoy hosted back in, I think, the 70s or the 80s. Between that The Twilight Zone. I'm a big science fiction fanatic when it comes to books, movies, games. So like the two basically go hand in hand for me, like the supernatural and the paranormal, aliens, conspiracies, UFOs. It all fit, into what I love already. So I was like, you know what? Because a lot of people do sports podcasts. I don't know a lot about sports, man. I got a couple favorite teams, but I couldn't tell you like so and so got so many rushing yards. You know what I mean? Like I couldn't tell you that. So like to me, that wouldn't be fun to talk about. But you want to start jumping in and talking about maybe there's a pyramid they found on Mars or the face on Sidonia. Let's talk because I love that kind of stuff, man. So it's all about the love, man. And I found something I love to talk about, so I'm going to talk about it.
What did you feel like you were hooked to the most out of everything you probably podcast about? Do you think you're a little bit more into demons? Are you a little bit more into the paranormal, supernatural, cryptids?
That's a good question. For me, I think it is more of the ancient civilization, ancient astronaut theory, the Martian civilization theories. It's more like that kind of yearning I think we all have to both connect our past and pinpoint a way to the future in terms of getting off the planet and being able to see space. So I think to me, it's just that feeling that I want to just traverse the galaxy, so to speak.
So I've listened to some of your episodes, and a lot of them are kind of what I do on my little spin-off series. I have one called Fill in the Blank, which we narrow down on topics, which seems to be like what you do. Your podcast kind of lines up with having like a basis of what the episode's about. And so out of all your episodes that you've done so far or ones that you're planning on doing in the future, do you have any that you're like dead on hooked to, at least in your mind, like it's probably your all-time favorite belief?
Man, that's a good question. If I had to pick an episode, and I would probably go with two, and one of them would be my secret societies. The secret societies one we did because I did a lot of like research on secret societies, and while I'm fascinated with like the ancient civilization stuff, the secret society stuff just draws me in a different manner, and researching that and like I knew a couple Masons, and I knew I knew about Freemasonry, and I was separating the so-called like fringe aspects of Masonry and
secret
stuff.
societies are real. Okay.
Oh yeah.
In the
For sure.
Vatican archives, there is what was it? There's an old record from the Knights of the Templar, like a 600-page document from the Knights of the Templar, which is an old like a round table King Arthur type cult, which is what
Right.
we have with today. I forgot what the modern name for it today is. Freaking, I don't know. I see people with the stickers all over the back of their car. Throughout the world, there has been at least a secret government, I would say. Okay.
Right.
There's been something that seems like there's a bigger power at hand. This is not the face of who it is. Even though we look at the president like, oh, he's the face of our country, seems like someone seems to be tugging on some strings somewhere. What's your concept on that? Do you think that there's this type of Illuminati thing out there? Because I mean, I can go off about the Illuminati.
Right. Well, the Illuminati doesn't exist. It died with Adam Weishaupt. Now, that's not to say a sort of cabal shadow government doesn't exist, because it's 100% that they do exist. Like it's yeah, of course, because it's what's known as social engineering. That's why they'll do different things. That's why Hollywood does different things, and that's why the music industry does different things. And if you look at the symbology behind a lot of different music videos, you'll see it. You'll see it plain as day. A lot of people don't, because the thing is, a lot of people don't want to, and I don't blame them. A lot of people are happy where they are in life, and when you get to a point like myself and probably like yourself, where you see like the grime underneath the pretty clean exterior, and you start to see that grime and filth and like some of the evil things mankind has done, it weighs on you. It's almost like a burden, like on your shoulders, so to speak. And so having that, and then seeing that, I understand why people just kind of write it off, because it's once you understand it and once you learn about it, and once you see human beings for what we really are and like how we really act in a mob mentality, you understand like, man, we're a mess. We are a mess. And it's a tough burden to shoulder, because you'll see people get so crazy for a celebrity, or a star, and you're just like, why don't you get that crazy for a professor or like a teacher or a doctor, somebody that's actually doing something to benefit society? And that's not to sit here and say that all celebrities are bad people and all Hollywood and music is evil and all that.
Yeah,
No,
you're just referencing Tom Cruise and his crazy ass. That's fine.
on the chair, just shaking Oprah. That it was weird.
Well, his sociology thing goes a little bit out of my realm. Like now, I've to understand the world or understand people in general, I took the step forward to try and experience what everyone is interested in and understand everyone's train of thought, at least on what the process of the world comes today. Overall, out of the people I podcasted with, it's around the same answer. They all kind of fall on the same concept of the world seems like it's in a just a I wouldn't say a decline, but a standby phase. Everybody is kind of just getting through life, not really seeing their true objectives or goals, just kind of saying, I made it through life. I don't want to say I made it through life. I want to say I made it.
right.
And when you look at all the factors that play with that, whether it's social media or all these types of things. If you really want to talk about a secret society, you can talk about how the government is tracking you on basically every single social platform you have. Everything that you do from your phone being recorded, you can't tell me having a conversation like we're having right now and my phone sends me an advertisement for some good podcasting equipment, even though I might not have searched it up on my phone or not.
Right.
They're listening in. I mean, they were exposed that AirPods were basically little microphones, obviously just to be able to Bluetooth, but that they were recording your conversations. So I have these things in my ears and I'm listening to a podcast that they're reading off how they just found out on this past Christmas Eve, that freaking AirPods were recording everything and someone got arrested with a Alexa. They used Alexa in a court case. I'm like, so instead of it being the Patriot Act after 9/11, where we had tighter security at airports, tighter security and monitoring of like social devices and social outlets, it's now becoming like I need to record everything everybody is saying so I can use it on them later.
And the thing is with that, so what I like to call our society now is what's known as paranoid society. Everybody is always just ready, and it reminds me very much like the 1950s, the way our society acts. There, people, and not to jump into politics because I don't like politics. I don't play that realm because I don't. But not to jump too deep into politics, but just like the 50s, everybody's like Russia, 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 this, Russia, that. The media's had a love affair with Russia since the Cold War.
We all need an enemy. That's the whole thing.
Right. And the thing is, people are so paranoid, man. They're so like, we just, I guess there was just a mass shooting that happened. So, and to me, man, it's like, the problem is you force feed people this entertainment that's evil, and you're sexualizing children and you think that's okay. And it's like the pendulum is swinging, and the pendulum continuously swings. So when it gets too far in one direction, it will swing back in the other direction. And to me, man, what people need to start doing, turn off your TVs, quit letting the phones and the television and the video games babysit your children. Have some common decency. Get your children reading, get them studying, get the knowledge in their brains. Let them play outside like kids are supposed to.
It's Mean World Syndrome, dude. You know what Mean World Syndrome is?
Yeah.
About 75% of the world experiences it when they turn on mass media outlets, all exposing bad news. News has always been around. There's always been murder. There's always been rapes. There's always been all these types of things. But the fact is, now we have such a large social platform for everything to be broadcasted with. They're trying to shovel in all the horse shit in just hour segments. And that hour, you're getting shoveled in so much information when you turn on that TV to when you turn it off that you can't stand it. You don't want to go experience the world anymore, which is creating lazy people that don't want to go chase after their dreams, that just want to work the 9 to 5, that don't want to pursue careers like chasing after Bigfoot. There's a freaking it's a statistical fact. The government, not just the government, but people are they're getting hurt. Okay, the government hurts, but the government's going to take their hurt out on you. You're going to take your hurt out on the person lower than you or a person nearest to you, which creates conflict in your own life. If you start creating conflict like this, you lose you lose the big picture. The big picture is we need to focus on what's going on in the world today. And I don't mean politics. I don't mean any of
Right.
that. I mean what's going on with the world,
Right.
the main thing that we live on, that we're not giving a shit about, and not even the world, just people in general, the ones we choose to neglect and the ones we choose not to talk to anymore. 75% of people don't eat dinner at the table with their family anymore. I can't tell you a single thing what's going on in someone else's life right now in my own family, just because nobody chooses the time. They rather sit in front of the television and get pissed off at what Trump's doing.
Right, right. And the news period, man. Like, the Democratic debates were on the other night. And it was just them just trashing each other, as politics is. It's just people trashing each other. And so I'm just going through my YouTube feed. And I'm a big fan of like old school science fiction radio shows. I'm a big fan of old school civil defense programs, things like that. So I'm scrolling through it, just trying to find stuff. And I like things like wrestling and video games. So I have my YouTube's tuned to that, But here I go, seeing the people getting outraged about political debates, and Democrats get mad at Republicans, Republicans get mad at Democrats. And I'm like, if you people only knew the test that they did when TV like got big, what they did was they put like a device to measure on the back of their head and like measure responses of emotions, and it would show them certain television programs and watch the spike in their emotional levels and different brainwave activities in it. They found that what it did was it manipulates your brain to be a certain way, to think a certain way. It's basic brainwashing without all the zombie-esque motions.
Yeah,
and
I
and
mean,
to,
if you think about it, I don't mean to cut you off, but I want to add in. If you think about how people are willing to now put a chip in the back of their head to help them be able to add a certain thing to their brain, a type of knowledge, a type of source of information, they're talking about in the year 2025, I think it is, that they're going to be able to have little chips that can get implanted into the back of your brain, like your cerebral cortex, and
Yep.
be able to have the internet on your brain. I'm like, I hear that, I immediately want to move out to the like Amish country and just start hanging out with them, learning how to build IKEA furniture. Like,
now, it's funny because me and you aren't very far. I know you're in Maryland over there in Ocean City, so we know all about that like rural farmland kind of atmosphere.
well, Ocean City is more of a beach town, I would say, but there's like, I mean, you go a little bit closer to Baltimore without going into the city. You get maybe 40 minutes away from me, you get some good farmland and everything.
Yeah, I mean, like in terms of like the state, because I've gone through there to go to Virginia, because I got some family that stays out in Virginia. But what I was saying is, in terms of because what you're talking about is basically human augmentation, which in certain aspects, I'm for 100%. And like kids that don't have arms, or they get one of their legs blown off in a war, like one of these crazy like bombings that are going on like in the Middle East, or a shooting that's going on here. Kids
or someone being blind and getting a
right,
chip in their
right.
head to just be able to see.
Now that I'm for that, but I know the people who are creating it aren't like not all of them, because I don't want to put I hate doing that. I don't want to be that fringe guy that just thinks everything is bad all the time. I think in a controlled way, like kids that don't have arms or legs, and they get to experience that, because seeing a child happy is the coolest thing on the planet. Like that, to me, the innocence of a child, man, is the best thing. And when people pervert that, and when people do things to children, they should just be straight up executed. Like, and I'll take that to the grave. Like, kids are awesome. Like my son is the best thing ever. Like he's really changed me, like 180 degrees. And not that I was like a horrible human being, but he gave me like a more focused purpose, so to speak. But getting back to your point, like these people want to become robots, and they want to become cyborgs, and they want to become these things, instead of just being like, dude, I'm cool being me. I had a conversation with somebody, and they said, yeah, man, if I could go back or if I could do something, if they had like a cream or something and I could look younger, I would do it. And I was like, I'm good. Like I'm cool getting old because I'm good getting old, man. Like we're gonna die someday. I don't want my brain in some weird neural network, where I
You
can
don't
be
want to be a Walt Disney popsicle.
right, right, yeah, exactly. I don't want to be, a head in a jar or none of that, dude. If when it's time to go, it's time to go, and I'll move on to the next realm and see my creator and
So
I'm cool with that, man. I'm cool with that. I have no problem with that. We all got to go, man, and I'm gonna make it happen.
do you believe there's an afterlife?
Yes, I believe God is there's an omnipotent being. I believe in most of the Bible too. The now not the King James one because that was reworked and things were taken out and changed. But if you study it and go back and realize, like, for the most part, I mean, it's a lot deeper than what I'm about to say. But for the most part, people just need to love each other. That's the biggest, like, ultimate thing. Like, love your fellow neighbor like yourself, and that's it, man. Like, that is the if people did that, if people actually followed that advice, the world would be the best place ever. Like, and some people do. I see some people, man, and they might not believe like I do. They might believe a whole different religion or a whole different set of beliefs, but they're acting better than some of these preachers in the church that spend billions of dollars to build this huge mega church. And there's people homeless outside, and that's not to say that homeless people, like, some homeless people choose that route. They just that's the what they want to do.
Yeah, they're not they don't hold on to possessions. But when
Right.
you talk about things like religion, I do have to kind of play devil's advocate a little
No,
bit.
you're good. Go
I've
ahead.
seen the goods and the bads of it. I don't believe you
Of
should
course.
I don't believe everyone is fit for religion. I don't believe everyone should have a belief in a type of deity. Who's to say that God is a white man with like a white beard sitting on a golden throne at the pearly gates waiting to judge people?
Right.
That's not some people's God. Some people's God's a 40-year-old dude sitting on Mars with virtual reality goggles on, jacking off in Crocs with socks on. Now, that's their interpretation of what an existential being is. Now, I
Right.
can tell you, I've went to my Maryland courthouse. I've gotten my ordained minister license under the United Church of Bacon. Only reason is one of my first podcasts on my other series, I did Pastafarianism and I started researching more into parody religions. And each one has a deeper meaning, even though they have ridiculous notions a little bit. But it's a way to crack humor in something so tense, which I don't believe the world should be tense about. It should be as simple as this. If the conversation of religion gets brought up, which I don't ever see it usually happening unless you're a Jehovah's Witness, but the whole concept is we shouldn't have that stigma when you're afraid to bring up religion or politics somewhere. Once you start creating a vibe like that is when you start to realize maybe that topic has a problem in it. Maybe that topic has some things that need to be focused on, either in the person themselves, which, like I said, I mean, I've gotten into an argument recently with Jehovah's Witnesses, not because I didn't believe in what they were preaching, but because the way they were preaching it. They were sitting on this national tourist attraction condemning people to hell for not believing in God. And now that's when I had to take out my headphones and I said, if you think about a lot of what's in, and I just talked to him a little bit, like, why would you ever try and conform someone to this? And it's not I'm like, in a world where we're already conformed, why would you try and push your views onto someone else that doesn't believe in it? I mean, there's videos all over the place from Jehovah's Witnesses doing LSD or some type of a spiritual drug or something, whatever you want to call peyote or DMT. And about an hour and a half into it, they don't believe in God anymore. At least they don't believe in a figure. They believe in a type of force or type of energy, you know? And even saying that, some people that are diehard Christian or Catholic will go, that's just wrong thinking. God is a man. I'm like, well, God could be a woman. God could be fucking Morgan Freeman. I mean, I've seen that man in more movies or more movies about God than I have actually seen God. I mean, you don't know. And the whole thing, if you want to take it back to ancient history, I mean, I'm not knocking religion here, but throughout ancient history, the gods have been shaped in many forms. If you want to go to Greek mythology, there's multiple gods. I mean, I dive deep into that because I have such a fascination with Greek mythology. I mean, the fact that there's these separate gods that are set themselves out for society, creating man, and these forces that are built statues up. I mean, have you seen those fucking Greek statues? Every single one of them is ripped to shit. I'm like, damn, dude, he's got a dick on him. Like, I'm not saying that I'm not gay or anything, but at the same time, you got to look at these things not only from one standpoint. You have to see both views. Once you start being open to what everybody is interested in, you start to realize, like, okay, this is what I believe and it works for me. It's not going to work for somebody else. I've talked to a woman who's gave me the best advice in my entire life, and she's a Christian. She's believes hardcore in God because she had a type of experience and a realization with her husband being paralyzed that she needs that. And I said, that's awesome. And thank you for giving me that advice. I appreciate it. I would never tell her I'm not religious and walk away from her and reject that advice.
No, the thing is, so there's ways to act, so to speak. I would never, if somebody wants to have a conversation, we can sit down and have a conversation like we're doing now. Sit down and have a conversation. I'm not going to argue. I'm not going to shout. I'm not going to yell. If you start trying to condemn me for how I believe or that sort of thing, I'll just walk away. It's not worth my time because to me, religion is a personal thing. It should always be a personal thing. It should never be something you use to hold over somebody or rule over somebody or treat somebody bad or just act horrible. You know what I mean? Like, to me, like religion for me, and like you said, like it's a good point. Like everybody, it fits people differently. To me, it just everything clicks. It makes sense to me. The world makes better sense to me. But that's to say somebody else might not see the same way I have. But like I said, that's because I'm looking at it from my point of view. Because to me, religion is a personal thing. It's something you keep like in your spirit. You don't sit there and try to force it out on people because people are hard headed. Right. So all you're going to do is you're going to drive people away, especially because I've had the door-to-door knockers. I've had those and I'm always polite. I'm like, no, that's not what I believe. Have a nice day. And then if they want to push it kind of like, well, what do you think? I'm like, well, this is what I think. And then if they start getting kind of like, because people do this, when you tell somebody something that they don't, that like if they have a hardcore belief in it, they tend to get like kind of antagonistic. They want to kind of come at you because they think you're insulting their beliefs.
Well, they get defensive,
right? And when all I'm doing is just being like, hey, this is what I think, this is what I believe, this is me. You don't have to believe like me. Like I don't want a bunch of sheep. You know what I mean? And I hate using that term because it's such a cliche term. It's really a cliche term. But I mean, like, I don't want a bunch of yes men and women. I don't want people to be like, oh, I'll take everything you say and believe it because that's how you get Jim Jones. That's how you get David Koresh. That's how you get the Shinrikyo from Japan. That's how you get these cults because you have these people that blindly follow and do not question. God wants you to ask questions. He wants you to try to understand things. He doesn't want you just to be like, okay, accept this and just go with it. No, because he doesn't want robots. You know what I mean? And like I said, your interpretation of God might be something else, which is cool. Like I don't hold things against people if they believe different than me. It's only when they try to get violent because of that specific belief, then I got to take care of that business. But other than that, hey, you're a Buddhist, cool. You're a Muslim, it's fine. You're a Hindi, awesome. Whatever, what have you. You're a Rastafarian, cool.
Yeah, you like to sleep with socks on. I like to sleep with socks off.
Right. And that's
but if you put mayonnaise and peanut butter on a sandwich, you're a savage, and that's the devil's work.
To me, that's the whole flat Earth belief.
My God, what do you know about the flat Earth?
I don't. It's 100% false. The Earth is not flat.
It's flat, bro. Let me tell you. If I walk 6,000 miles that way, I'm dead. I fall off the face of the planet.
No,
the world goes into ice.
No. As soon as you get to the ice wall, the Air Force jets come and get you, bro.
Oh, jeez. They bring me back home?
Yeah, come on, man.
Okay, I didn't know. I was not a Eddie. I was not a Eddie Bravo and supporter a little bit. I see.
Oh, nice. Because yeah. I watched that, and dude, Alex Jones.
All right, Alex Jones. Okay, I need to get on this because a lot of
Go
people
ahead.
talk shit
Have
on
at it.
him. And let me tell you something. He opened me up to so much shit I did not know about that the government was doing and a
Right.
bunch of things are doing. And a lot of people are like, "Oh, he's turning the frogs gay." I hear that. I'm like, okay, Alex, can you talk about something I can look up and it fucking shows? So he opened me up to Operation Paperclip.
Right.
He opened me up to Unit 731. He opened up me to the whole Nazi eugenics program, all that
Right.
shady
Right.
shit the Nazis
Right.
did, dude. Now, the things I'm interested in are finding out the mysteries, just like everyone else in this world, whether you dive into religion, whether you dive into that. It's someone looking for a mystery. We want mystery in life. We want that to be true. My mystery falls with cryptids. I'd love to know there's a Loch Ness monster. I'd love to know
Right.
there's a Bigfoot out there. There's over 2.2 million species left undiscovered on Earth, or not Earth, on land. And there's 6.8 million undiscovered in sea, and they discover over 1,000 something species every year.
Right.
That bolsters the whole fact of cryptozoology. But since it doesn't have any scientific evidence besides new species being discovered, and that gets placed in a whole another scientific category, it's not a real art form. I'm like, but cryptozoology is a real art form. I can't tell you there isn't a dog out there with two heads. I can't say that's a fact because one's never came up. There could be one in freaking India with some guy has a two-headed dog. There's been two-headed goats, natural defects.
Sure
It's
has.
I'm entirely open to all forms of interpretation, whether it's religion, whether it's UFOs, whether it's whatever it is. Do I think that people should go in an outlandish way, start riots, do all these types of things to try and get their point across? No. Do I think 760 something, or no, 666,000 people signed up to do the Area 51 raid, I think it was. And it's all on the concept of they want to know if aliens are real. Like, okay, you know what? You know how simple this problem could end? It's not even a problem. Area 51, charge $10 at the door. You want to find out what the fuck we're doing? Come on in. I guarantee to you, half of those people are going to leave like, I didn't want to fucking know all that. And the other half of the people are going to be like, well, where the fuck were the aliens? Because I guarantee you, if they have hit this earth, which I think they definitely have had a part in so far, I don't know if they're here now. I think they might be watching from a distance, like, yo, these guys are on some fucking level that we don't know what's going on. It's like if you gave Mexico airplanes, like, what the hell would we do then? They had jets flying everywhere. We'd be kind of freaking out. And that's only to crack humor at something that is kind of really
Right.
weird to trying to figure out. I mean,
Right.
so many people focus on other life out there. I have podcasted with people that want to deal with astrophysics that start talking. I feel like I'm listening to Neil deGrasse Tyson go on about stuff. I've seen documentaries from Untold History of America to things of paranormal, existential, whatever you want to call it. You know, I have I have a belief that there is always something that we don't truly understand. And that's been shown throughout history. I think everything throughout history gets turned around like, oh, that's actually not true. This is what's true now. It's like what's ever in the moment with current evidence.
Okay, so you touched on a couple things, and I want to go ahead and break some of these things down.
Let's do it.
First of all, Alex Jones is a national treasure. All
Thank
right.
you. Thank you.
Alex is a cool dude. Like, he has his moments, and you're like, Alex, dial it down a notch. But if you ever see it, so here's how you can tell when Alex Jones is about to hit you with that good information. When he doesn't get super emotional, when he's just like having the conversation like we're having here. Like that Joe Rogan podcast was dope because he had a lot of good little gems.
Did you hear what he said though about how his like it's like a flowing river and he's going off and all these different things. He was talking about how he gets so overwhelmed and he starts diving into all these topics and stuff. A lot of people didn't understand what he meant by that. I do the same thing. I have ADHD just like Alex Jones does. So your mind's constantly processing things and everything you say leads into something else. So that's what he was doing. He kept diving into different things. And Joe Rogan was trying to slow him down to focus on these things.
Right. And listen, all three of us, we're all three in that same boat. Like I have ADHD too. So I have to like work harder, you know what I mean, than like a lot of people to stay focused and on point. But what I think, and like I said, Alex Jones, national treasure, no debate. When it comes to aliens in Area 51, first off, I want to tell the people who are thinking about storming it, you're idiots. You're going to get shot because that is still a top secret government facility.
The one person that went on there got shot. It was back like 20 something years ago. And Bob Lazar is the whole reason why people started pursuing it. And I'm like, if you actually read into Bob Lazar, which one of my very first podcast was on him and how he discovered 2 gravity wavelengths long before this came out in the news, which I felt like I was fucking on the top of it for. Really, all the credit goes to my buddy. But I started researching it. I was like, in no way, and even at the podcast of Joe Rogan or his documentary that came out, in no way did he say Area 51 had aliens. In no way.
And here's the thing.
Sector 4.
It doesn't. Area 51 doesn't have aliens because Area 51 is for their stealth prototypes, their advanced technology. So all these UFOs people see, and people see them thousands a year, right? That's not aliens. And I'm going to break that down to you folks in a hot second. It's not aliens. That's us. It's our technology that we've had for decades upon decades. So, because here's the thing. So whatever technology you see today, the government supposedly has tech that's 25 years advanced. So like in 25 years, the tech you'll see then will be the stuff they have now. Okay.
Yeah, it's the Source of Information Act. 20 years after some government project goes down, then next thing you know, it pops up in the CIA freaking information base.
Okay, and as far as aliens are concerned, I have a theory about this. This isn't 100% verifiable. It's just a theory that I have. I have a theory that we came from Mars. We destroyed that planet, hence the giant scarring. Or it had because I've been reading some Graham Hancock, fantastic. He was on Rogan's podcast too, but he in his book it touches on meteorites. Like they had a meteorite disaster and it basically just scarred the planet, toward the atmosphere. So I believe what happened was we left. We sort of jettisoned out to this Earth, like we had been studying it and watching it and sending satellites to it. And maybe what we did is we terraformed it, meaning we made it habitable for us. And that's how you get the dinosaurs being extinct. You have all these different ice ages. And there might have been people here. And what happened is we bred with those folks. And so we have the civilization we have today. I don't believe aliens are these grays or these little green men or these. I think the aliens are actually us, at least our ancestors. And so that's why the government is always like throwing out the crazy, like, or that's why like Hollywood and stuff always throws out the crazy alien stuff, like the Anunnaki and like the more demonic looking aliens. But in reality, I think it is us who are the aliens, which would make sense because if the government would tomorrow release a report that says, yeah, we come from Mars or we come from Saturn, or we come from a planet like that. If we would come from another planet and then came here, it would rupture the social fabric. Now, people wouldn't know how to take it. They would be like, so we can go back. Because if we crashed, we probably could go back. So yeah, I think it would cause worldwide pandemonium. A lot of it being religious. It wouldn't do anything to me religiously. I would still hold firm to my beliefs.
So
because
how do you believe in a God? If God created people, then how did we come from Mars?
Who's to say he didn't create other beings? There's never in one part of the Bible that says he didn't create other beings in other worlds.
So are you false belief to evolution?
Now, evolution's a funny thing to me because I don't really, I don't believe we came from apes. No, I don't believe in that whole concept. Reason being, we're humans. We're a higher level of intelligence. I know people like to point to, well, apes can do this and do that. Apes can't do their taxes, right? Apes can't break down mathematical quantum physics. They can't do, differential equations. We're that. I want to say Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Wouldn't you relate that though to that's the ape theory? Because the ape theory is when we came from apes, it was because we had to evolve to adapt to our scenarios. Human adaptation is kind of factual. Now I'm not saying I disagree with you at all. I just kind of had to bring up the other point
Listen,
here.
dude. Listen.
So
I don't find you to be like that type of defensive person because I've listened to some of your past shows. You're putting that out there, and I'm cool with that, man. You know, like
Yeah,
it's
like I'd be
not
fucking
gonna
awesome
shake
if
me.
we're from
You know what I
Mars,
mean?
dude. I would
And
love to be from Mars. Like, are
it's
you kidding me?
it's not going to shake my beliefs because I'm already entrenched in what I believe, and I've done my own research. And the thing is, like I said, I'm not a proponent of the ape theory. I'm not a proponent of the out of Africa theory. I know a lot of people are probably going to get mad about that one, but I don't. And the thing is like they have been finding earlier and earlier points of civilization across the globe, not just in the Middle East, which is
Yeah.
like the bed of
Well,
our.
Japanese just discovered their first Atlantis. Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, that they've been had that there. That's been there for a long time. They had
Yeah, it's all
steps and everything else.
it's all evidence we're discovering. You look at that and then try and think aliens aren't real. Like, come on. But they say it's some type of. It makes sense because of where they found it. It was not even 4,000 feet from land. It could have just been a rock thing that just kind of went sunk under, which is
Right.
possible.
And
Um,
I think too, like when it comes to stuff like that, right? I think it's always good to have a healthy dose of skepticism. I think it will strengthen your beliefs. It allows you to process out certain information. Like you read a bunch, you research, and you're like, okay, cool. Oh, this is cool. Oh, wait, come to find out, this didn't happen. Okay, come to find out, this didn't happen. I've read that's my second source I've read saying that this didn't happen. And I know a lot of people will be like, oh, but you believe in God. But like I said, that's a personal thing. That's a lot different
yeah,
than
you're taking your own means from it. You're believing
right,
more of like an
right,
afterlife type perspective with
right,
religion, not really
right,
dealing on the basis of creation.
right.
So
And
when you hold on, when you dive
no, go
in, I
ahead.
do want to bring back up the ape theory
Yeah,
because
go ahead.
when you think about the ape theory, it's all about human adaptation. Now, I do believe in human adaptation only because when you're a child, right now, Robert, you're smarter than you were when you were 2 years old. You learn how to write, you
Right,
learn how to do these types of things to form around your environment to be able to function in the world today.
right,
That's human adaptation. Now, if you think about monkeys, that's through evidence through history, starting to group in packs to gather food to do these hunter gatherer type jobs that we had back in the day throughout history. That it just evolved to a new form today now with pigs for slaughter and all these types of things. But if you
right,
look at that, human adaptation has happened in society and has happened in people. What's hard to think that monkeys didn't adapt? If they learned how to start hunting in packs to kill bigger animals to get more food, then what's the belief that they didn't start slowly, maybe being bipedal, start walking on 2 feet? I mean, have you ever seen a gorilla and then just watched it for an hour? It does some pretty similar characteristics. The fact that
right,
they can take a
right.
statistical study, take a male chimp and a female chimp, multiple cases, I think it was like 256 different cases of monkeys, and they put a boy toy in front of them, which would be a race car type thing, or a hammer or something, and then put a doll in front of the monkeys. And they saw that all the male monkeys would fall towards the hammer. A very few monkeys that were considered sensitive or had a female nature characteristic, just like most of the female monkeys, would grab the doll and start nurturing it like it was their baby.
Right, right. And listen, I definitely believe in human adaptation. Like that's, I mean, if we look at say um uh farming equipment, right? It used to be horses and then it used to be, plows and you had to do the plow, you had to attach to the horse and you had to go. But then we got smart and we had the farming machine and we did that and we did this. But there's just a level I can't really explain it, but this is what I'll call it. Um, we have what's known as the divine spark. At least that's what I would call it, where we have that semblance of right and wrong. Animals don't have that. They go based off of survival for the most part. They don't have that semblance of my neighbor has been stealing out of my mailbox and I gotta go stomp him out or I gotta go put hands on him. Oh, my girlfriend just cheated on me. I'm heartbroken. You know what I mean? Like, not now I got to go to the bar and get drunk. Animals don't have that level of right and wrong. If something happens in the wild, and an animal tries to steal another animal's food, it's not rational. There's no rational thought. He's going to hit that animal. He's going to hit it with a rock. He's going to hit it with a stick. It goes from 0 to 100. Same thing with a lot of females in the wild. They just have multiple partners. There's very few animal species that just straight mate for life. So in that regard, we have that divine spark that allows us, that dictates to us, hey, I'm not gonna, my mom, for instance, my mom's purse is open. There's $100 sitting there. I'm not gonna take that because I know that that's wrong. You know what I mean? Like I know that that's a horrible thing to do to my mother. I'm not gonna do that. Oh, the old lady across the street, she needs some help with the groceries. Let me run up over there and help her with them groceries. Animals can't do that. There's not one animal that will make that distinction. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I call the divine spark. And that's what we have. And animals don't have that same divine spark that we do.
See, it falls in the terms when you start looking at adaptation and evolution. The only reason that's stopping you from taking the $100 from your mom's purse is because you also have a bond with your mother than you do with some. Let's say we take that whole scenario you just displaced out and bring up a guy that pissed you off, called you an asshole, you hate this dude, you don't like him, you wish like he just didn't exist, you just wish that all this stuff, and he leaves $100 somewhere. Are you gonna be willing to give that $100 back to him? Most of the population is not. This is not aimed towards you. This is aimed towards most of the population.
Even if I don't like you, I'm not a thief.
Well, that shows you're a good person, but statistically showing, I guarantee you 95% of the population would probably throw that back, would just be like, no, this is mine now. It's not yours. I didn't find your $100, bro. I guarantee you that. And it's seeing more and more in the world today. Now, that's where I think humans are adapting to their environment that's getting displaced around them, where they're choosing to be a hive mind. They're choosing not to care about one another anymore, which is a lot of what you see in society today. A lot of people don't care about people anymore. They care about what that person has and what they don't have, or what that person doesn't have, or what they have. It's all about measuring each other's dick sizes. That's literally what it is. It's a giant ruler competition. Everybody's pulling out trying to compare stuff. It's like, why are we comparing things that have no immediate effect into our own lives? Like, I can tell you right now, the fact that you have a podcast called The Uncanny Earth is not going to affect me and not having one. If I want to start a podcast, I go and do one. But a lot of people don't have that sense of mind thinking because we're adapting to the secrets and all these types of things that society is basically feeding us. Like they're just like, we're not going to tell you this all happened. We're not going to give you the full story, but you'll find out in 20 years when it's irrelevant at that point. I'm like, well, what the fuck?
Right. Well, because listen, they want society to be dumbed down. They want us to eat, I'll give you a good example of this.
They're doping our food.
Go ahead. Recently, I have been watching my diet. I've because I was plateauing in my bench press, and I couldn't figure out why I couldn't break past a certain weight. And my not to be impressive, because it really isn't impressive, but my max is 220, and I'm trying to get to 300, and I'm like, man, why am I not? Why am I so exhausted? Like, why am I not pushing further and further? I realized it's because I was eating very poorly. I was looking at the stuff I was eating. I was, now I am. I'm checking sugars. I'm checking the sodium, because those are the two killers, man. The sugar, the salt, and the sugar. And that's what they feed us. They feed us these foods to give us these cancers for the population control, because they can't figure out how to keep population control.
Yes. McDonald's.
Right. And
you can't tell me when that kid eats a chicken McNugget meal and conks right out in the back seat of the car, passes out from all that sugar. That is not a sense of doping. See, I think that now, like Bill Burr has a joke that we're getting, so when you become more adult and the child gets affected by all that sugar from McDonald's, that falling asleep because it's too much for their bodies to handle. An adult is just so used to the process of it now that we're just like, it doesn't affect us. But it puts us on like a little bit of a slowdown. If you get clean off fast food like I have for 7 years, let me tell you something. You don't ever want to eat it again, because the whole fact is, I know what it feels like to not be like that. Even when it came to, I don't really eat red meats anymore. If I eat red meat, it's like putting diesel in a convertible. Your whole body immediately starts going into these phases where it's not reacting right. And, I've had people be like, oh, you might need to go to the doctor if you're experiencing that. I'm like, no, it's because I can't process a heavy, first of all, GMO'd usually food like that. A lot of the food today is GMO'd. Now people
Right.
say GMOs, oh, that's supposed to be like the over just to help with starvation and all that. I'm like, yes, in some countries they use GMOs for benefit. I see major
Right.
benefits of GMOs. I'm not against them at all. Hell, I've seen an apple at my local produce store that's freaking 3 pounds. You can't tell me that's not GMO. There's bull
Right.
testosterone in that thing. But when they start chemically engineering food, not only to grow better or grow more abundance of it in a place where it's not supposed to be growing, but also eliminating the fact that it's killing insects. That's where I
Right.
look at it. I'm like, so you're kind of
Right.
putting like a pesticide in my food. I wonder what else you're adding into the mix that you're not being 100% open about. Oh, don't worry, it's not lethal to humans. Yeah, but you're putting a type of poison that kills an organism in food.
Right. Right. And the thing is like, I want to make something clear. I'm not saying that I don't like junk every now and then. I do. I love donuts. Any kind of like sweet,
You
right up
savage.
my alley. Love them.
You savage. I hate donuts.
Right. I love them. Love them. I love donuts. But I know that I can't eat them all the time. Like I don't. And the thing is like, I've been eating better, cleaner. I feel better eating cleaner. I really do. I feel way better, and it's helping me in my workouts now. Like I get my oatmeal going, I get my eggs going, get that protein boost, get the lean meats rocking, get that fish going. Get the brown rice moving, and it's just like I feel better. And then I look at kids, and I'm like, man, like the parents are feeding you trash. Like you're overweight. Like I as a kid, man, I ate trash too as a kid, but I was outside every day. You couldn't tell me I couldn't go outside because I was going to be outside. I was going to go outside. I was going to swim. I was going to bike. Man, I was so in shape as a kid. Like I worked and I didn't have to do anything. I just had fun. And I see kids today, man, they're so glued to that iPhone or they're so glued to a tablet or a video game like the Fortnite. And I'm just like, bro, like video games are cool. I love video games, right? When we get done here, I might play a little bit before I go to bed. But I would much rather be outside because it's summertime, man. I mean, we are in the house. I don't know about you folks in Maryland, but us in Ohio, like we are in the house a good 4 to 5 months, and cabin fever is very, very real. So when that spring cracks and I can be outside and I can feel the wind on my face and I can smell the flowers, it's great. And my son loves it. So I don't have, he doesn't get babysat by the video games, by the iPhone, by all that. I mean, he has time. We give him some video game time, of course, because I'm not going to straight deprive him of that. I'm not going to say you can't do that at all because I do it and he sees me do it. So it would be wrong of me to not let him do it.
Yeah, you
But
don't want to be a hypocrite in front of
no, his time is monitored, right? His time is monitored, and he plays stuff like Minecraft, man, because kids love that game, and that's cool with me. I'm fine with that because you know what? Tomorrow morning he's gonna get up, he's gonna go outside, and he's gonna play all day, and I'm cool with that. Like enjoy your life, little guy, because the world is beautiful when you're a child. I mean, like it's beautiful. Things don't come crashing in.
You don't have all the ignorant problems that you have to face as an adult when it comes to bills. Once I started to fill up my own car and pay car insurance, I was like, damn.
Right. You're like, whoa, hey.
Where's the coloring book at Outback?
Where's the crayons?
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, and I wanna say something because I think I say it like every time I get a chance to say it. When I was a kid, my grandmother had Time Life books, and I don't know how many people remember those, but they were like a series. Like they'd be like on the paranormal, they would be old Western. Well, my grandma had the old Western. She had one of them, and I remember being a kid and seeing dead bodies, right? Because what they would do is, in the old West days, when there was outlaws and like horse thieves, murder, stuff like that, there was no way to let people know like this person's dead. So what they would do is they would take the bodies and they would straight up put them in front of the mortuary, in front of the undertaker. They put them up in front of the jails to let them know, hey, these people are dead. with the bullet holes still in them. They didn't clean it up.
They would also try and fit them for caskets while that was going on too. They
Yeah.
had them just resting in a casket that was open.
But as a child, man, that book fascinated me. Like, I was like, this book is awesome. And I would go over and I would look at it pretty much every time I went over there. Like, I would open it up, find all the dead body pictures. It was so cool to me. Like, I had a weird fascination with it as a child. And it didn't scare me. It didn't bother me. It still doesn't bother me to this day.
You wanted to be exposed to information as soon as you were basically a child.
Right. And I'm like, oh, okay, so this is how this works.
It's not like that person didn't die. He still died. It's just you don't know about it.
Yeah, and he wasn't anybody close to me. I mean, and here's the thing, like, even if he was like a distant, like if my grandmother was like, yeah, that's your great grandfather. Okay, that's cool. You know, I can't have any remorse for a person, especially if we did something heinous. If we did something heinous, I'd probably be like, yeah, that dude's a jerk. But I don't have any like emotional attachment to a person. And so with that, I'm going to ask you a question because you've been asking me all these questions, man. You've been questioning. So I'm going to ask you a question. Do you think that, like, whatever your ancestry is, right? Do you feel like the DNA, let's say DNA from like your great grandfather, right? Do you ever feel like, if you know who it is, if not, I'm just kind of making this for conversation. Do you feel like that can be imprinted as it comes down the lineage to you? Do you feel like that can be imprinted into your being?
You think it's coded in my DNA?
Yes, and I think that's how people talk about past lives. I think
I'm 100% belief of that, dude. I'm 100% belief that there's probably someone down deep in the road, even though Ancestry.com likes to tell me I'm related to Thomas Jefferson, just like most black people apparently are related to Thomas Jefferson. But I see that I have a passion or a wantingness for something that's completely different from somebody beside me or someone just in the world that I live in. So there's obviously something that influenced me in that way, whether I picked it up, I went to school for psychology. So
Nice.
I know the theories when it comes to, your upbringing, all that childhood experience, trauma, whatever it is usually what folds you into the person you are today. I'm a belief of that. I'm believing all theories, to be 100% honest with you. I don't consider anything to be a conspiracy theory anymore because I think it's just evidence that really hasn't come to light yet.
Nice. And I could see that. Like, some things do make you who you are from childhood experiences. That's facts. But I think, like, in some cases, for instance, like I said, I was exposed to that at a young age. I was exposed to science fiction. My pops love science fiction. So it kind of like was ingrained in me. And I kind of wonder because I mean, like, he could have shown it to me and I could have just completely disregarded, like, man, that's weird. That's not my thing. But I think the DNA from that, you know what I mean, in that regard, was passed down. And that's why I have such an extreme love for it. Like, I sit and sometimes look out at night and I'm like, man, because I could from where I'm at, you can see the I forget, Orion's belt. You can see that constellation in the morning, and I'm like, man, that's cool. And I think about how it aligns with the pyramid of Giza and the three pyramids, and I'm just sitting in my head thinking, man, what if there is just like, what if that is a pinpoint map to another system that we can go live in that is devoid of the evils of mankind, like the pollutions and the whole disastrous wars that we've done, and like just things like that. It's kind of like it's weird. It's like I want to go out to the stars to explore it because I have a weird longing to just do that. You know what I mean? And so that's why
mankind has had a fascination with exploration. I think the whole fact is we want to dive into the mystery of the world. We want to dive into the mystery of people. Anywhere that there's a type of not really a conclusion or an answer to anything, I'd like to know that if aliens helped build the pyramids, because for a fact, all evidence shows that You know, that's very hard for the tools they had back then, especially the fact that they were basically grinding their teeth down by eating bread, because the way they processed their
Yep.
bread left chunks of sand in it. You can't tell me some dude that's literally eating his teeth into powder can perfectly cut 6-ton blocks and stack them so perfectly aligned that it creates a perfect pyramid, and at the same time it aligns perfectly with a type of the pyramids of Giza line up with the star system in such a way that you can see the 3 stars. Are you fucking kidding me? You can't tell me that's not maybe if you want to consider it a conspiracy theory.
Right.
I consider it the fact that that's probably a map to something. If somebody can figure it out, maybe light the way. I mean, it's the whole fascination of there's something out there that you can't explain with evidence today, and the
Right.
fact that even with evidence, you're still trying to put a label on something that someone might consider that to be God.
And before we continue, because I really, 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 really want to get this out. I'm not one of those people. I'm not a Sukalos. I'm not a Von Daniken. I do not. I don't like when people do this either. And this isn't anything against you or anything like that. It's just like I don't like when people want to say that aliens did everything. You know what I mean? Like we're a bunch of dummies. Because then I'm like, Nikola Tesla. And then they have to get quiet because Nikola Tesla was one of the most, if not the most,
He should
brilliant
he
human
should he
being.
should have beat Thomas
Hey,
Edison, dude. He should have beat
of course, Edison's a thief. Him
Edison's
and
an asshole. He
him and
tortured
J.P. Morgan are trash, bro.
dude.
Like
He
straight
tortured
garbage.
a freaking he burned an elephant alive just to prove that
A
direct
dog.
current was
A
better
dog
than
too. Did a dog too. Yeah.
Savage Man.
Yeah, but like how do you like as a person, like what is mentally wrong with you to do that? Like, yeah, Edison was a
Well,
scumbag, bro. All day.
Tesla wasn't the best either. If I'm playing devil's advocate, he did marry a pigeon. I mean,
Yeah, you know what though? He didn't kill it. And and a lot and here's the thing I want to touch on because a lot of people bring that up whenever I talk about Tesla. With Tesla, it was just this is I don't know how else to put it, but he realized that people were garbage, right, for the most part, and he found a kindred spirit. Not, and I think a lot of people do like go like that so they can be like, hey, probably bad, and I'm like, man, chill. I think he just found a kindred spirit in animals that a lot of people do,
yeah.
and was just like,
There's a woman recently that got in trouble for that. She was living with a dolphin. Half of her house was like underwater, and she ended up like trying to mate with that dolphin. And people are considered mental when they have some type of connection or love for an animal like that. It's like no, they had a connection. They had a
right.
type of thing that we consider wrong. Why is fucking
Well,
people considered right?
no. Hold on now. I think when you try to start mating with animals, like yeah, like
Yes, okay. I wasn't
that's
saying that you
disgusting,
need to
bro.
go.
Like,
I wasn't go saying you need to go bang a cat or anything. But the
right.
fact of, the only reason you think that it's disgusting is that's what society has employed you to be. I mean, throughout history, do you honestly think that there was a long-term rule that nobody was fucking animals? I guarantee you there was. I
See,
guarantee you there was something where some dude didn't even know. He was like, "Yeah, well, I'm probably gonna, instead of just going home watching Netflix, I'm probably just gonna go bang my yak." It's like,
no,
what?
no, dude. I think, like I said, because we have that divine spark, like I'm like, dude, I'm pretty much sure that as a normal human being, right, not a mentally deficient one, because to me that person's mentally deficient, and no doubt about it. There's just to me now. This is me, and I'm gonna speak for myself on this one.
That's what you should be doing in this podcast. You're telling me the history of Robert Solomon. You're not. You're not reading me this character. I want to know you.
Right. I like a nice looking woman. I do. I enjoy a pretty woman, not a sheep,
You're
not a
attracted
goat,
to what you're attracted to.
not a monkey. Nah, I think if you're attracted to animals, you're a weirdo. And if you're attracted to kids, you should be put to death. But that's
You
me.
just nailed out most of the Muslim population. That's not even a joke. That's in their book that they do that stuff. They have goat loves. They have camel love. Like there's these things, and they don't know the restrictions. Now, see, where I go into on this is there's a really good documentary I want you to look up. It's called it's called The Redemption of Butt Naked. Have you ever heard of it?
No, I have not.
Okay, so there was a warlord general in Africa who killed and ate babies, did so much horrific stuff in our society's views. Now, the only reason he, I guess, would say is forgiven for his crimes is because he found Jesus. But this man, the reason why they called him General Butt Naked was basically he would fight naked, and his belief was that he was invincible with all of his clothes off. Only thing he'd run around with was leather shoes, an AK-47, and a beret on. Now he had a butt naked brigade. Basically, he had a militia. They used to kill kids. They used to go around the town just capturing random teenagers, beating them up, killing them, eating the enemy's hearts and stuff. Now you look at that. Immediately, I can tell without even you talking in your head, you think that guy is a fucking piece of shit. That's okay to think that because I did too until I read his documentary. And it kind of brought me to the concept of interpreting information and experiencing someone else's view before making my own justifications. Now, when I did this, I was listening to him talk. This is how he in his country of Africa, South Africa, that's how they thought. Back in the Mayan history, there's a thing. They used to eat the greatest warrior. They would play these soccer games, and the soccer games would be used with a head of a enemy or whatever, and they would kick it, and the winners would be eaten by the tribe,
Right.
babies, whatever. Only reason is because you're consuming the flesh of a great warrior. Now, I think where some of us now listening might think that's wrong, I see it as their morals are completely different from where ours are based on our views. The fact that General Butt Naked talked about grabbing kids that were basically swimming at the little river, washing their clothes, doing whatever they had to do, just playing around, he would hide under the water, grab them, take them underwater, snap their necks. I heard that in the documentary. I'm like, this guy is an asshole. And then I started thinking, what animals are in Africa? Can you name me a few animals in Africa, Robert?
Well, yeah, you got lions and zebras and wildebeests, all kinds of.
But what
of
falls in the water? Starts with an A, ends with an R.
An alligator.
Exactly. And what do alligators tend to do with their food? They tend to hide under the water, wait for a nice little gazelle or antelope to come over to the water or stream, and then they grab it, take it underwater, snap its neck, and then either bury it or eat it. So I started seeing that, and I was like, that's weird that they did that in Africa, just like the animals do. And I realized it's a structure. It's a way of mankind slowly being able to process how to kill something by watching its environment. This is where we talk about environmental imprinting, which is something in psychology. Just like there is this, you could take the same concept with a child learning how to do something based on his environment, turning into an asshole because he had an asshole environment, or the opposite around. Now, we have different animals here, so we're going to obviously have different morals than people in another place. I think you're based around your environment. That's my belief. I think you have a justification on who you are going to be as a person or how you're going to really act based on your environment around you. If someone raises you to be racist, you're going to end up being racist, not on purpose, but on accident, because you've been influenced and experienced this in a certain way, which is kind of what you hit on a little bit about with how you would see these magazines, Old West magazines, all these types of things that you're interested in now. That was your influence. Their influence in Africa for General Butt Naked story was the animals, everything of this sort. He's came out now after he's found God because he had a religious experience one day when he woke up, because he literally thought he was the devil. He woke up and was like, Jesus Christ came to me in a dream, told me I was going straight to hell if I did not conform everything and see all this. And that was after years of seeing the faces of people he's killed, their families, all these types of things just coming to him, and all this trauma he's experiencing, emotional self-guilt. And he's back in 2016 was telling people, I'm not forgiven for my crimes. I'm not. He goes, you want to condemn me? go to each one of these family members and have them come up to me and give me their just view. I want to hear them all. He's willing to track down all those people's families that he's killed and hear to themselves, let them get their anger out. He's donated millions to refix Africa in the situation after being influenced here. I think you see that. And now you look at General Butt Naked, now that he's building homes in his country for people that need it, now that he's finding child militias, ending them, and teaching these kids that they can have a life. You hear that? You're like, wow, that asshole from the beginning of the story turned out to be a pretty good guy, right?
Nah, he'd have to get shot.
You still think he'd have to get shot even
You
after?
gotta go, bro. After what you've done, there's things you I don't care how much. And this is me, man. Like I'm speaking at it from a father point of view. Like
Yeah.
if this dude would have taken my son, I would burn the world down.
That's what he
At-
gave. That's what he gave all those families a choice for. He's like, "Do you want me to die?" And after a while, the family looked at it and they just saw him as inexperienced. And now he's doing so much to benefit those people in that country by bringing them, donating all of his money. He's made millions of dollars off of everything, and he just donates it all. He doesn't want any of it. He tells people, he's like, "I will suffer from my crimes. I will." He goes, I'm not oblivious of what I did. He goes, I will be at the end of the gates. He believes in the afterlife. He goes, I will be
Right.
at the end of the gates and I will experience whatever judgment is in my path. I think hearing that from him, even if he killed my kid, I'd probably still want to punch him in the face. But at the same time, I'd be like, you're already set. You already know what's going to happen to you. And then I would, especially if you believe in a higher power, Robert, you'd have to understand that. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not conforming you to try and forgive him. I'm just saying, when you experience a story like that and how someone has changed their whole entire life and perspective on the world and their moral values, you start looking at people differently. You start seeing them as they need to discover it for themselves. And I think that's a problem with what's going on. Nobody's trying to discover it for themselves. Everyone wants the fucking news answer. Everyone wants the easiest thing to get to the ending toll. I'm like, but it's not easy. Life's not easy. Everyone knows that. So why do you think the answer is going to be easy? You think freaking Donald Trump saying something is going to be your cure all be all? No, you have to find it for yourself. You have to experience it for yourself. I have never experienced death. I've never experienced afterlife, but I've talked to people that have. I've talked to a dude that died 3 times, and his third time was because the pacemaker saved his life. That's the only reason he came back. But he was in a 9/11. He was a firefighter during that. He was shot in the head in the war. Like hearing that and then seeing how kind of a person he still was to me and knowing his belief in God made me believe. But at the same time, I can't make a justification on there being something out there. I have to know by experience. I have to have that myself. That's why I can't truly give answers to anybody, because I'm not truly experiencing the exact thing you're going through and the exact mindset you have. So it's wonderful about the world. We're all different, but we all have a chance to take our time to experience one another and get our justifications and our just thoughts of our own instead of just processing the thoughts of others.
Which is cool. Like I said, man, like old boy, yeah, he would I'd pull the trigger, blow his face clean off his body. He'd be
Take him to
dead.
town.
But at the same time, bro, like that's me. You know what I mean? I don't expect everybody to just all of a sudden like, yeah, because that's how mobs form, right? And then mobs cause unintended consequences. But oh boy, yeah, he will get it. But in terms of just like, and I know, and to put it in a little bit better perspective from someone who's not a complete like deranged monster. So in the United States, and we both live here, obviously, we have what's known as a prison problem. People getting put in jail for marijuana offenses. Crime rates are crazy, and the thing is, so when these people get out, right? When the felons get out, they start trying to look for a job. Well, I'm sorry, you can't work here because you have a record. I'm sorry, you can't work here because you have a record. You can't work here because you have a record. And depending on what the thing is, if they're pedophiles or they're rapists, you go ahead and get chemically castrated and get back in the cell. You're not getting out. You're not allowed to see freedom. All right. But if you're just say you're a guy, and I would even say this about a murderer, depending on the situation. You get out, you're like, man, I want to change my life. I'm a good person. Right. I'm some things transpired. I caught my wife in bed with somebody else. I took him out. Right. Crime of passion.
It wasn't me.
I did like 10, 15 years, right? I come out. I want to find a job. I want to get a good job going. I want to get my life together. Sorry, sir, you're a felon. 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 We're not hiring felons. I can see how easy it is for people to slip back into doing illegal things based off of that revolving door. And so in a roundabout way, because old General Turdface, he would get murdered. No debate. He'd have to go.
His name is General Butt Naked, sir. He earned that title. He was naked.
Nah, he'd have to get the 30-06 to the face. But
I ain't worried about getting shot in the dick.
Like, some guy that might have, robbed a gas station or something, right? And he does 10 years, he gets out. He's completely changed. He's not that same person he was anymore. And as long as he didn't shoot anybody or kill anybody, obviously, but he's like, man, I want to change my life. And they keep barring him from doing that. And then the prison system is a revolving door, and that costs like $30,000. The state gets $30,000 per person that goes through the doors. Even if you're on parole and you get put back, I believe they get another $30,000. I could be wrong about that. I have to check that later. At least in the state of Ohio, that's how it works in the state of Ohio. So, prejudging a person, if I know plenty of folks that did some things and did a little bit of time, and I don't look at them any different. You know what I mean? Like, there's very few things I dislike: pedophiles, rapists, and deadbeat parents. Those three, right? You could be and obviously like serial killers and mass murderers like that, but like you could have robbed a bank, you could have done this and that. I'm gonna be like, man, that sucks. But I would still welcome you into my circle if you're a good person. If you're the three things I mentioned before, you're getting stomped out. That's just how it is. Like, I don't like people. I don't like pedophiles. I don't like rapists. I don't like deadbeat parents. I can't respect you. You have a child and you can't take care of it, and you can't give it what it needs, and you haven't given it up for adoption. You haven't like given it to the state. Like, I can't do this. Like, it's making me crazy. You're a dirtbag as a human being. You're a piece of filth and trash. Now, that's not to say, now out of those three, the last one is the only one, depending on how much of a deadbeat parent they were. If they're just one of those, like, the dad's like, yeah, I don't even want to see my son. I won't be around him. But if you make that 180-degree turn and try to be a better father, I can respect that. That's the only one of those three that I can respect.
I think it's the fact you just explained perfectly about what I was saying about experience. I mean, your imprint from being a father and knowing what it's like to have a child and knowing what it's like to raise one and still raising one, you are experiencing already a sided view towards having, I guess, an understanding of who is wrong in your mind based on your morals and how you are. Right. That's what I'm just trying to get across here, is that we have opinions and morals, and just because someone's morals are different than someone else's, it's all your own interpretation of what you think life is. Everyone wants to know, what is the meaning to life? Life is literally legit. I don't want to sound corny here, but it's what you make it. It's what you experience in it. It's how you view your points. The whole thing I ever try and get through, kind of coming to a conclusion here on the podcast is just, I want people to know Robert Solomon for Robert Solomon, not some voice he plays, not some person he plays. You're experiencing. It's not just you. It's everyone in the world. We have experience. We have thoughts brought on through our life. This life has formed us in a way. So look at that as a structure for yourself, not a structure that other people need to go by, not a structure that other things need to happen. There are obviously its justifications when it comes to that, like who it specifies on, but at the same time, you have to look at who we are as a people, who you are. That's what it is, who you are.
Yeah, no doubt. Always.
I can tell you, Robert, from just being able to podcast with you, and I want to say I appreciate you coming onto my podcast, talking to me a little bit about, your thoughts on the world and
Right.
life in general and what you're interested in, man, because it's fucking awesome, dude. You're pursuing something a lot of people would consider stupid, but it's not stupid to me and it's not
Thanks, brother.
stupid to you. That's the only thing that matters
That's
because
it.
you're going to get it, dude. Trust me. I could see the Uncanny Earth taking off in so many places, man. I mean, that's already a fucking great name as it is. Because guess
Thanks,
what?
brother. Appreciate
The Earth is uncanny. You're just stating facts. So I want you to give a little bit at the end here just to be able to plug your stuff so people can find you and be able to get your information on just being able to listen to your awesome ass podcast.
So you can head on over to www.spreaker.com/thisuncannyearth, all one word. And we post every Thursday. It's live. Every single Thursday, it's live. We do little cool stuff too. Like we do some Twitch streams of games. We've been playing the new Wolfenstein, which is pretty. I have my thoughts on that. It's not as good as the old ones, but yeah. I don't want to do that. I don't want to make the noise, but he's right. It's bad. But you can also find me on Twitter at twitter.com/thisuncanney, Instagram, This Uncanny Media Network, Facebook page, This Uncanny Earth. You can just type that in, the page will come up. The Facebook group is also This Uncanny Earth. Let me see. I don't really think I'm on LinkedIn as Robert Solomon if anybody's interested.
If you got Google, type in This Uncanny Media Network, because let me tell you something. If you're interested to ancient aliens, to the Men in Black, to the immortals, to anything that comes with zombies, Bigfoot, whatever you want to be finding out, it's there, bro. And it's all information open to you, just like the CIA website.
Except I'm not gonna steer you in the wrong direction like the CIA website.
Nah, he's just gonna open up your eyes like
eyes up.
Pistol whipping a blind kid.
Wow, it got dark. It got dark at the end here. I like some
Pistol
dark.
whipping a blind kid's already dark for him. What are you talking about? He can't see.
Wow.
Stevie Wonder can see. Did you know that? That's a conspiracy theory.
Yeah, I've heard. And like I watched like one of those YouTube videos. I watched one of those 2 a.m. YouTube video holes that you get trapped in. Everybody gets trapped in it. Everybody gets trapped in those. And they had shown different like freeze frames of his face. And I was like, man, this dude can see.
Give me a freaking tennis ball in 2 minutes with Stevie Wonder. I guarantee you'll catch it when I'm fastballing at 90 miles an hour to his face.
And let me just say something too, man. I really like what you've done. Like, I think that your podcast is dope, and I'm gonna tell you why. I don't know too many podcasts out there right now. Out of the Blank podcast, you guys are already listeners, but I plugged it on last Thursday's show. I'm gonna plug it on this Thursday's show too. Just show some love. What I like is it's just straight up like normal human beings just having a conversation. Nobody famous, nobody like putting on airs and having to be fake. If you meet me in person, this is me. Everything I told Robbie tonight is me. When you meet Robert Solomon in person, you heard me on the mic. I'm gonna tell you exactly everything I said. Same word for word stuff, man, because I'm me. But I want to give a big, huge, gigantic, enormous shout out to Out of the Blank podcast. To Robbie here, good dude. Everybody, man, if you ain't on this podcast, you're slipping, you're falling off. Falling off
the flat earth.
No, the cat's already knocked everything off of that, bro.
Damn it. I was late to the draw again.
So yeah, man, look, I want to thank you, Robbie, personally, man. I'm glad you hit me up. I'm glad to come on the show, even though we had like a whole bunch of like different little like occurrences that was going kind of crazy.
We were having an Alex Jones conversation.
Yeah.
I adored it. It was awesome.
Loved it.
I appreciate you taking the time, especially tonight, to be able to be on this podcast, man, because it meant the world to me. Just like it means only about, 600,000 miles to some people, apparently, flat earthers. I need to research more of that before I keep talking shit.
They're going to call the cats.
I'm open to interpretation, but God, the flying earth, flat earth, really?
Right. like now the Hollow Earth might be a little bit more like I could kind of see that because of all the tunnel networks and stuff like that that the Bigfoots live in because they never ever leave their dead. They always take their dead with them. So
I
that's what I
think
mean.
when it comes to the Earth, it's just an onion. We're just peeling back one layer at a
Yeah, of course. Of course. We're just civilizations built on top of other civilizations.
built upon a rocky foundation. But thanks a lot, Robert, for being on this
Yes, sir.
podcast. And
Sir.
everybody listening, this was a fireside chat with Robert Solomon.